Hey, hello. My name is Teresa Micheletti, and this site is called Take What Rings True. So if I say something that is not true for you, just let it drop away. This is spiritual thoughts from me, from my gathered spiritual information that I've gathered over my lifetime. So today I'm going to be talking about what happens when we die. Some background information. Years ago, I took years of trance classes with spirit guides, Rahim and Francine, when a spiritual medium, Sylvia Brown, would go sit on a bench on the other side and her spirit guides would come in and teach us. So much of the information from today is from those trance classes. So first of all, our soul decides when to die. Consciously, we don't remember, but our soul decides. We have written in 5 exit points in our life chart, and we choose which one we're going to take. If we're on our last exit point, we still have leeway of extending that amount of time. My friend Sylvia's dad had his blue light blinking, which blinks on the other side to let people know you are coming back to the other side. His was blinking for 17 years. So he didn't want to die just quite yet. He stayed around. And my favorite one, of course, you probably know, is Stephen Hawking, who had ALS and when he was 21. And then he waited 55 more years before he died because his will to live kept him on Earth. So it doesn't really matter what the doctors say. It's your will to live or not. And if you're tired of living and you're tired in your body and your mind and your spirit, then you're probably going to go. So if you're 3 or 103, if your choice is to go, then that's when you go. Have you ever had a close call, an accident where you almost died, or an almost accident? Have you ever had a really high fever? Have you had surgery, which could have gone the wrong way? I had hip surgery, and the anesthesiologist was tired or something, I don't know, but he was giving me spinal for an hour. So because my blood was not circulating well and it wasn't pumping from my legs because I'd had spinal shots, I had really low blood pressure and was in intensive care for 3 days because my high blood pressure at that point was like 25/10. Now, I knew I was not going to die because I was not going to die. I was awake. I was alert. There was a nurse like an arm's length away from me the whole time, and a blood pressure pump thing that would take my blood pressure like every 30 seconds. But I lived. I wanted to live. I had more things to do. So when you do decide to die, you could like take 3 breaths and just lift off. Most people can do that. When you die, a tunnel of light forms from you to the other side. And the other side is only 3 feet above where we are. So the tunnel's not very long, but it seems longer when you're in it, because as soon as you enter the tunnel, stuff starts dropping away. All the fears drop away, all your worries drop away, all the hurts, all the illnesses, all the sickness. A euphoria sets in. And as you enter the tunnel, there's like a shimmering light that removes the negativity from you, the negative thoughts, the negative feelings. You feel light as a feather. A minister friend was very ill for a long time and bedridden. Her name was Kathy. And as she entered the tunnel, according to spirit guides, when she entered the tunnel, She straightened up as she entered. And then as she's going through the tunnel, she started running. And she hadn't walked nor run in years. But all of her MS went away and she went happily to the other side. Now, as you enter that shimmering light and all the negativity drops away, then when you get to the other end of the tunnel, someone's there to meet you. It might be an angel, it might be a loved one, it might be a friend, it could be someone from another lifetime. You usually enter a garden area. Although children usually go across a bridge, but you can be creative in the way that you enter the other side. I believe Sylvia had a white horse and a white plume, and you can have whatever you want. Now, some people have very fixed ideas in their mind of what it should be like when they enter the other side. So, if you are a very staunch fundamentalist person, then your guides may have arranged for you to have some pearly gates when you get there. Whatever will make you comfortable when you get to the other side. And then they'll tell you how it really is. So you've gone to the other side. When you get there, your loved ones for many lifetimes, your friends for many lifetimes are there, and they sing your tone. You have a unique tone in all of the universe, and everyone sings your tone to welcome you home. Of course, if you've had any pets from any lifetime, they've all wiggled to the front to greet you. Often, people are greeted by their friends and family, and then they go to the Hall of Wisdom, which is an area where you can review your life chart. Some people may stop off at the Hall of Orientation because you check in. And if you're confused or you've had trauma at the end of your life, then you probably check in there first, and orientators, facilitators will help you transition and realize that you're really in heaven or the other side. And they may decide that you've been through a lot of trauma and you need to have some nurturing and be, quote, cocooned first before you go visit your life and look at it in the Hall of Wisdom. It's also called the Hall of Justice. So you've gone to the Orientation Center, or perhaps you've gone directly to the Hall of Wisdom, and there's a screen, like a circular screen that comes up off the floor, and you can view your life. And it's like a television clicker. You can go forward, you can go backwards, you can pause, you can bring your guide, your spirit guide. Everyone has their own spirit guide. Everyone has a personal angel. You can bring your spirit guide with you if you want, or if you want to look at your life by yourself, you can do that too. There's going to be an angel there, at least, to tell you when you go, oh no, I was so awful here. And they'll tell you, no, look at all these wonderful things that you did, where you helped people, where you were kind. And the angels make sure you know that you had a productive life. So you go to the tunnel, you go to the temple to review your life, and you see some things you might want to change in your next life, or you understand why you did something or why someone else did something. If you want to, you can talk to counsel about anything in your life. You can go to the Hall of Resolution and find out more about it. There's many things you can do to review your life. And you're not time bound anymore. There's no place you have to be. There's no one you're accountable to. Just your heart center is who you're accountable to, and your love of God. That's who you're accountable to. There's no judging. You are the judge of your lifetime. You set out your chart for that life, for this life, or whatever life you're reviewing. And you just see, okay, I wanted to learn this and this and this. Did I learn those things? How did I do? What could I have done in a different way? And do I want to repeat any of those lessons if I come back into life again? Most of you are in your last life, so you probably wouldn't be coming back again unless you chose an option life. You can also go to a life in Andromeda, life in Crab Nebula after this if you want. There's many things you can do to perfect. We call it perfection. We're striving toward perfection. Okay, so you checked in, you've checked your life, you have a big party with your family and your friends for as long as you want because there is no time on the other side. Your guides make sure you're comfortable and the orienters make sure you're comfortable before you enter into your regular life on the other side. So you have a job, some kind of career or job that you attend to on the other side. You might take care of animals. You might take care of landscape. There's so many gardens on the other side. Maybe you love flowers and you take care of flowers. Maybe you're a singer. Maybe you're a dancer. Maybe you're an artist. Maybe you're a facilitator. Maybe you help people in the Hall of Healing. Maybe you're a researcher. There's many, many kinds of jobs people do on the other side. You don't do them 24 hours a day. There is no day, but in our time period, you also have time to play. You have time to go to concerts. You have time to ride your horse. You have time to bicycle. Any sport that is not a contact sport where people get hurt is also on the other side. So if you like to fish, then you can go to a stream or a river or the ocean and fish. If you like to hike, there's many places to hike. So whatever you like to do, you can do that on the other side. You can go picnic with friends, although you usually don't eat on the other side because it doesn't taste like anything. And you usually don't drink on the other side because it doesn't have any taste. People drink and eat during festivals or ceremonies to sort of emulate what we do on this side, but it's not necessary. You don't need to sleep. You have a place where you rest that you call your own. It may be a house, maybe an apartment. You can create your own. If you want to live in a pyramid, you get a couple of friends and you create your pyramid. Make sure there's a hole at the top if you're going to have a fire on the inside. Rahim, one of the spirit guides who would come in and help us understand the world and the other side, built a pyramid and he forgot to put a hole at the top and he had a fire inside and of course it got a little smoky. So we still have silly things happen to us on the other side. And you have the same basic personality that you have here. And friends that you like here, you like on the other side. And people who irritate you on this side, you may not be around them much on the other side. You don't hate anyone, but if someone's only had one life or no life, then you're probably not going to hang out with them on the other side because you don't have much in common. Now, all the earthly restrictions have dropped away. Don't have to be anywhere or do anything specific. Now, some people come to the other side because there's been some kind of disaster like 9/11. In 9/11, angels started gathering days before around the World Trade Center. So spirit guides who were taking care of us were not in tune with what was going on, but they knew something was going on because of the angels gathering. So when something like that happens, angels gather. There's an alert put out on the other side saying, we'd like everyone to come help because a lot of people are going to be coming in at once. And during a disaster like that, the more spiritual people will turn around in their tunnel and notice other people that are perplexed or confused about what's going on, and they'll also help them even before they get to the other side. So If there's a disaster, then there's many entities on the other side who will help them to transition. And it's okay. They all make it to the other side, and it's okay. Now, another thing that can happen is people can commit suicide. If someone has a chemical imbalance, or their mind is disturbed, or they're mentally ill, and they commit suicide, they are cocooned and nurtured back to their normal self. However, if you commit suicide with malicious intent, you're mad at your family, nobody's paying attention to you, and you're just going to show them, then that suicide is often caught in the tunnel, turned around, and put in utero immediately. They call it code blue. So you go right back into a life, a similar life, and redo your chart all over again from the beginning. That's not a fun thing to do. So the main reason you do that, if you have malicious intent, is because you broke your contract with God that you were going to do this life, and you also interrupt other people's lives. So if I committed suicide right now, it's not one of my exit points. So all the people that I'm scheduled to interact with now have a hole in their chart where they were supposed to interact with me in some way and learn something or understand something or just go somewhere or do something. So that's the reason that the chart has to be redone if you commit suicide with malicious intent. Now, we're all 30 on the other side. I don't know why 30, but we're all 30 on the other side. So if you die as a child, there's a special area you go to where you play, and there's people there, entities there who will help you to transition back to the age of 30. And you do it slowly, so it's not a shock. And the same thing if you die when you're 103. You slowly go back to the age of 30. Now you choose your visage. You choose the way you want to look. So say you had a favorite lifetime as a Viking, you can look like a Viking. If you had a favorite life as a native of the rainforest, you could look like that. If you had a favorite life as a girl in England who loved to bake cookies, you could have that visage. Or you can choose your own that has nothing to do with the past life and just create your own visage. We recognize each other through our eyes. So it doesn't matter if today you're a curly-headed, blonde, 6'5" person, and tomorrow you're a dark-headed pygmy person. I would recognize you by your eyes. So choose whatever visage you want. I'll still figure you out. So only God is perfect. So when we get to the other side, we have some kind of imperfection. It could be a streak of white in your hair. It could be a small scar under your eye. It could be a chipped tooth, but something that shows that you are not yet perfect. We also have little badges of honor. I've talked before about levels of perfection. If you're on the 4th level of perfection, then you have 4 little gold leaves that you wear. If you're on the 6th level of perfection, you have 6 little gold leaves that you wear. Now, after you get there and you've reviewed your lifetime, and the angels have answered any questions, and you've talked to counsel if you want to discuss your life with them, you could have gotten together with friends or family and gone over your life. Some people flag things, even in life. You know, some weird thing will happen to you, so you can say, flag that. But when you're reviewing your life on the other side, you can flag things. Maybe you want to have a slideshow and show people the silly things you've done, or you want to have a slideshow and show how you transitioned or whatever, but you can flag things in your chart. So you've done your review of your life. You're probably going to take some R&R time. You can rest, you can just wander, you can go to your favorite places before you resume your role or your job on the other side. There's a place called the Towers, and you can go there, and it's sort of like a quiet area. You have your own room. You can have writing materials with wonderful pens. You have quiet time. Nobody's going to bother you. You can choose the side to overlook water. You can choose the side to overlook the woods. There's different sides of the towers so that you have different views. You can also have people help you with spa services. So if you want a massage or you want some other restful service, then they can help you with that. Einstein went to the towers after he died because he still had work to do, as he considered it, and he wanted to do more writing before he went back into the general population. So whatever you choose, then that's what you do. And as I said before, some people who've gone through trauma, a traumatic death, will often be cocooned. It's like wrapped in warm blankets and soothed. And you can take time to come back to yourself. And if necessary, there's counseling for people who've been through major trauma. So you resume your role on the other side. So you can go back to working with your animals or go back to your work in one of the halls or the temples. You can meet with your friends. You can go to a concert. You can go to a lecture. If you want to learn something, there's a hall of learning. You can go learn about it. And one of the nice things is when you get to the other side, you remember all your lifetimes. You remember how smart you were. You've gathered knowledge and information from so many lifetimes, and it all comes back to you. You're much smarter when you're on the other side. So know that when you have decided, your soul has decided to exit this world, that a tunnel forms from you to go to the other side. You may be greeted by loved ones or angels. And if you have trouble, I talked about this before. A friend, a former Sunday school student, I know you're surprised that I could have an adult Sunday school student. Anyway, my adult Sunday school student who had a wife and children was confused when he died and did not go all the way through the tunnel. He was stuck in the tunnel. So we had a conference call and we talked him over to the other side because he was having trouble finding the orientation center and he was worried about his kids. So that's why he was focused on his kids and didn't realize that he'd actually exited the world. He was caught in time because all time stops when you die. There is no time on the other side. It's been described as a merry-go-round. You know, if you miss a lecture, you can find it again. It'll come around again. So this young man was caught in the tunnel and we talked him over to find his place on the other side. And I know he's okay because I channeled the other day and I saw him. He was helping people. So it's a good thing. Anyway, so you go through the tunnel and you transition however you want. If you want to go across a flowering ridge and have trumpets, you can do that. If you want to just enter the garden, you can do that. You decide, or you can just have a regular transition to the other side. So you've gone through the tunnel, your loved ones and friends sing your tone, You have a party either before you go to the Hall of Wisdom or after you go to the Hall of Wisdom and review your life. You decide, okay, am I going to change anything? What did I learn? Do I want to come into another life or do I not? And then you go back to being yourself, life on the other side. You meet with friends, you go to lectures, you go to visit friends, you go to parties, and you work on the other side. You decide where you're going to live, maybe the same place you lived before, or you may create something new. We are creators, so we can create on the other side. We don't need to eat, we don't need to sleep, but you do have a place that's your own where you rest and study or do whatever you want to do there. You can live with other people, you can live by yourself, you can live in the woods, you can live in an apartment, you can live on a mountaintop. You decide. And you could think yourself places. So instead of driving cars, you can think yourself to a new location. You can also walk. And people speak telepathically. Usually, you speak by just thinking, and the other person can read your thoughts. If they're going to speak out loud, they usually speak Aramaic, which is the language that Jesus used. So you can speak out loud or not. You can go visit places by thinking about going to those places. There's also a kind of vehicle you can use if you're going to go to Crab Nebula. It takes more than a couple of minutes, so you can do that. You have many choices of things to do, and you're not time bound. And you feel God's love every moment of every day, although there's no days on the other side. You feel euphoric. You feel a love of those around you. You feel connected. You feel like you're part of the universe, that you're part of everyone else. And you know you are much loved. You were created by God. You were loved by God, and you are loved by God. And the main thing that we feel on the other side is God's love. You can hear angels practicing in choir, cherubim and seraphim singing. Maybe they're practicing for a festival that's coming up. It's a wondrous place. In fact, the other side thinks of us as dying when we go into life, and they think of us as being reborn when we come back to the other side. So just know that you're looking forward to a wonderful, happy time in the future. So next week, I'm going to talk about healing and the tools we have available to heal ourselves. We come into life and we don't realize the many tools we have to help us in life. So I want to talk about healing next week. So thank you for joining me, and I'll see you another time. Bye.